Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some of my favorite indicators on TradingView.com. If you aren't familiar with TradingView.com, basically it is a free platform where you can take a look at different charts. It's got tons of cool built-in tools, and this video is not sponsored by TradingView or anything like that. I just love the platform and want to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the tools that I use and how you can get them very quickly. So you can see I've got TradingView.com pulled up. This is the chart version. I'm sure many of you are familiar. But let's talk about some of my favorite indicators. And the first one I want to talk about is for those of you guys who are out there who are day traders, there's this one called Sessions. It's called Sessions on Chart. It's by AU Rocks AIF. You can see I've got it favorited. I actually love this indicator because if we click here, check this out. So what this is going to do, if we go down to the, let's go 15-minute chart, you'll see there's all these different fancy colors. And if I could bring this into view, what you can see here basically is we've got all these different colors. We've got yellow, we've got green, brown, red. And what this is going to do actually is going to show you guys the major market sessions, which is awesome if you're a day trader, because if we're day trading, we probably want volatility, and volatility can be found in mostly during the, at least in the Forex world, can be found here. This is going to be right here is the London session. This is the New York session, and the yellow is the Asian session. And then the brown is where the London and New York cross over. This is cool because this tells you where all the volume and all the action is. When it can be kind of tiring to trade something that is not moving, right? Because as day traders, you're looking for that volatility to spike and for things to get moving. You can see here, for example, there's some bigger moves during these windows here. And that's where a lot of times day traders can find their biggest action. So if you're looking for a tool to indicate that for you, again, all you do is go to your indicators on TradingView, type in Sessions, and then look for the one that I showed you. AU Rocks, I think, is the guy who posted that out for free. So if he's watching us, thank you very much for that. Very cool tool. Awesome stuff. So that's the first one. Again, this is just the best tool that I know, at least for finding the major market sessions. Because again, if you look here, you'll see this is like the Asian session, right? And this part of the day is usually very, very quiet. Not a lot of action compared to some of these big, strong moves that we see in the market, which a lot of times can cause or they can be a great catalyst for some big moves in your trading. Okay, so that is the example for number one. The next ones, of course, some of these you guys already know, but I just like to indicate them because they are ones that I personally really like. Simple moving averages. I don't use exponential moving averages or anything fancy like that. Not that I think that they're terrible or anything. It's just that I like the simple moving average. I just always have. It just makes the most sense to me, and it keeps it simple. So I use moving averages, which again, all you do for that is you would just come up to the search bar. And by the way, guys, the list that I'm showing you, there's much more out there for you to go check out. This is just some of my personal favorites that I like to use on TradingView.com. Moving average is the one I use, but you can use exponentials or weighted averages if you are interested in that sort of stuff. You got smooth moving averages, all the other stuff that you can get yourself into. But I use moving averages. I've got videos on this topic on how I use moving averages. Make sure to, if you want to find out more, just go to YouTube and type in Trader Nick moving averages, and I'm sure you'll find a video or two that I've posted about how I like to use moving averages in my trading. Okay, so next, that's number one and number two complete. Those are pretty straightforward ones so far. And then you've also got another one that I really like for measuring volatility. And you probably have heard of many of these, but I want to talk specifically about, kind of why I like these ones specifically. So if I actually go here and look for Bollinger Bands, click this right here, and this puts a Bollinger Band on the chart. The reason I like Bollinger Bands is mostly for testing volatility or seeing what volatility is like. Again, usually if you're not familiar with Bollinger Bands can be a great way to indicate how volatile a market is. The bigger the bands are, the more volatile the current market condition, and the smaller means that the market is not very volatile. It's not very moving. So if you're looking for something that is moving, you may want to trade in ranges or areas that look like this, and that can be a great filter for some trading. Next up, we've got RSI, which I personally love relative strength index, the RSI, as a tool for looking for Let's see, relative strength index, looking for potential overbought and oversold levels. Okay, so the RSI, I know a lot of people don't like indicators. They think they're lagging and pointless and stupid, but I like indicators as a filter to add on to my price action trading. I've talked about this before in my videos. I like using indicators as kind of filters, added confluence to some of my trade setups. For example, let's say that we do identify that gold here, XAUUSD on the 1 hour chart is in fact in a range. We've got a back and forth market. Well, okay, maybe I could be looking for setups, and maybe that RSI gives me an added confluence to look for buy trades that could potentially make my trade more likely to succeed. Just one example of how an indicator may help on top of this supportive level that makes for a decent trade setup in my view. Obviously, in hindsight, it looked really good. So just as an example. So that's the third indicator that I personally really love to use here on TradingView. Next up is going to be a correlation tool. And this one is really, really cool to me. So what I'm going to show you guys here, correlation is something that I like to study. This correlation coefficient here can add something, let's go SPX 500. It can correlate one chart against another, okay? And so for example, this is gold trading, and the indicator down here is showing how correlated it is to the S&P 500, the stock market, the US stock market. So the higher the reading here, the higher or more correlated these two charts are to one another. Why is that interesting? Well, if you're trading something like, check this out, AUD USD has a very high correlation to the S&P 500. So why would that matter? Well, if you have a bearish bias on the S&P 500, right? Let's draw this out for a second. We'll put SPY for S&P 500. If you have a bearish bias on the S&P 500 and you know that these two charts are very correlated to one another, you may not want to be buying AUD, okay? Because if you're bearish on SPY, but then you're bullish on Aussie, that's in some ways a contradiction, because right now, again, you can see highly correlated markets. What does that mean? It means that right now, at least for the time being, they are moving in the similar direction. So if the SPY is moving up, the Aussie dollar is probably moving up right now as well. So you don't want to kind of step on your own toes by trading in two different directions, or at least I don't. So I'm using this tool to see visually what is this correlation looking like here on the chart. That can be valuable information to kind of filter trades as well. A little bit more advanced, but you know, for those of you guys who are keeping track of multiple markets and you want to keep that in mind, this correlation tool on TradingView is super easy to use and super cool for this sort of purposes. Fun little test here that we can do. I always like to use Coke and Pepsi. So this is Coca-Cola. You guys, I'm sure you've had a Coke before. I know that I have had too many of them myself. And if we change this here to, let's go type PEP. This is PepsiCo. Okay, so now check this out. We've got two soft drink producing companies. We've got Coca-Cola here on the chart correlated with Pepsi. And what you can notice is that there is a pretty strong correlation between these two companies or these two stocks, right? So what that means is that a lot of times when Pepsi is going up, Coke is also going up. When Coke is going down, Pepsi is also going down, right? And you can actually see during this crash, they were incredibly correlated. Both of them were crashing at the same time. So why is that information informative or helpful? Well, it can be, there's multiple things that we can talk about correlation. I've got a video on correlation that I'd love for you guys to check out. So make sure that you go ahead and click the little card at the top of the screen. That will be awesome to check out. This is about correlation. If you're more interested in that, I'm not going to go too far into detail on that in this video because I'm just talking about some of my favorite indicators in this video, but I highly suggest if you're interested in more about correlation, there's some really cool ways to trade it. So I'd suggest that you go check out that video and maybe we'll see you on that one. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. Let me know down in the comments, do you have any other indicators that you like and would love to add to the list here of favorite indicators on TradingView.com? Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure to like, subscribe, and come back for more in the future. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.